So I think we might start there, and thank you everyone for joining us for what is our fifth Innovation Month event, sorry. We're joined here today by Den Lim and Jay Doherty from Gipsport, who will be talking about the innovative Latrobe Streetgames project and giving us a bit of a case study wrap up of how that's been travelling over the past 2 years and what it's going to look like moving forwards. So I'll hand over to Den. Thank you very much.
Great, thank you, Richard. I'm just going to share my screen and jump on slideshow. Hope you can all see that. Amazing. Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for having us here at the Latrobe Health Assembly's Innovation Month. It's a pleasure to be able to speak to you about the Latrobe Streetgames program. So my name is Den Lim and I'm the Community Programs Coordinator at Gipsport. And Gipsport is the regional sports assembly for Gippsland, and we strive to help create healthy, inclusive and connected communities through sport. So whether that's grassroots sports, community sports, or the programs that we're delivering here at Latrobe Streetgames, which is a doorstep sport program. I also have Jay here as well, and I might pause briefly for him to introduce himself.
Yes, I'm Jay. I've been a head coach at Latrobe Streetgames since it first started off volunteering and kindly got a position working for Streetgames, and I've been happily doing it ever since.
Awesome, and we will talk about Jay, in the coming slides, and his colleagues, and what the crew has sort of done to help create this innovative program. So when I thought about innovation, because it is Innovation Month, the first thing that comes to mind is doing things differently. So new ideas. Being bold and being brave. Our colours are quite bold and, visible and in your face, it packs a punch, about creativity and about resilience. And so I think the program, reflecting back on the last couple of years, we've certainly instilled all of those attributes that I see that form innovation. And I think Jay would agree that, day to day, we are absolutely living by that ethos, doing things differently, iterating all the time. And so this little collage here that I start with is it was put together by Jay. It was to celebrate our 2-year birthday and also to celebrate hitting 1,000 followers on our Facebook page. So it's quite nice little vibrant photo there for you, and you'll see it on our Facebook page as our cover photo as well. So just taking you to the very beginning, because I'm aware that some of you may not have come across Streetgames or may not be aware of what we're about. So Streetgames aims to increase physical activity and social connectedness of youth within our community. And it first came about through DHHS, so the Department of Health and Human Services, and the LHIZ, the Latrobe Health Innovation Zone. They put out expressions of interest for any suitable organisations who might be interested in increasing participation in active rec by groups who experience barriers. And around that time also, it was around the Hazelwood mine fire inquiry and the report there, part 5 of the report. And I will read just part of it to you, just in case you're unaware of it. So part 5 of the Hazelwood mine fire inquiry report, 1516, volume 3, health improvement, is on promoting healthy living and specifically focuses on reducing smoking, improving nutrition, increasing physical activity, which is where we come in, reducing harm from alcohol and drugs, and improving mental health, which is where we see ourselves coming in as well. The board's consideration and proposals called for local health promotion action to reduce sedentary behaviour. The report also outlined that taking action for better health in places where people learn, work and play is a foundational principle of health promotion work. It also the Hazelwood Mine Fire Inquiry also had the Victorian Government implementation plan, and so there's a whole lot of information about that I won't go into. But basically, what we're trying to do is to improve sedentary behaviours, improve the health and well-being of young people in particular, and that's by growing their physical activity opportunities, and by doing so, also creating social connections. So GIP Sport, when we put in a bid to deliver this program, it was not only for the physical activity side of things. We put in a bid and proposal to also increase the social connectedness of young people, which was modelled off the UK Street Games model, which has been really successful, and it's been delivered for about 15 years now, I believe. So we're modelling off the UK Street Games program, but we've certainly been innovative and been able to look at grassroots delivery on our day-to-day. So we were lucky enough as well to receive phase 2 funding from the Latrobe Health Assembly, and that kicked in about 12 months ago. And I wanted to shout out the Health Assembly for being part of our partnership from day one as part of our initial phase 1, and then also backing us again to continue the work that we do that is so important to increase physical activity and social connectedness for our young people. I start with a little photo there that takes us to the very beginning of Street Games. This was our launch party. You can see some smiley faces there of both our crew, the original crew we had in their little pink logos, and then also some organisations that jumped on board to help us deliver the program in Mid-Valley, which had over 500 people that came along to our initial event. We still hold that memory so fond in our minds, don't we, Jay? So just an overview of Street Games. We're about doorstep sport. So we take sport to the people rather than getting young people to come to us and find us, we find them. So wherever they're gathering, our principles around right place, right time, right style and right price. And so we deliver fun and flexible programs right through Latrobe City and across other municipalities now as well. And so I will speak just briefly around those principles. In terms of right time, we've found that for youth in high school or in sort of the later years of primary school, who are our target audience, they like to come along to Street Games straight after school. It's sort of around the 3:30, 4 o'clock mark, and we've found that that tends to peak our participation. And then for young people who are, over 18, particularly in work, they like to come along to events around sort of the 5:30, 6 o'clock mark. So I think we've landed on a really good time in terms of the events that we are trying to attract in the different cohorts within the youth demographic. The right place is where they gather. So where they're already comfortable, there's no point in trying to promote and getting them to come to us if they don't know that we exist. I think the beauty of Street Games is that we're very visible and we are on the doorstep. So we've heard that a lot of young people hear about us through word of mouth, or that they just walked past us, for example, being at a shopping centre or a library, for instance. So we've found that doing things differently is about taking our sport to the young people, and that's basically what Jay and team does, is they take their balls, their bags of balls and other gear, and they just pop up right where the young people gather. And that's where we found helped with our success in the program and in terms of the visibility. We started with skate parks, libraries, we even went to schools and rec reserves, and that helped us build the program, and we've been able to iterate from there. And young people, once they then come along and understand what we're about, they then start to tell us where they want us to go, and so we end up going into leisure centres and other facilities that suit them. The right style is about, again, doing things differently. So we know that there's an ecosystem within the traditional sports clubs, and we don't want to compete with that system at all, because it's an important system that we need to cherish and support and harness and grow. I think traditional club sport is very important in our community. What we're trying to achieve is for those young people who are not involved in traditional club sport to be involved in some form of physical activity or recreation. We know that young people drop out of sport from around dramatic decline at around mid-teenage years, around the 15 years of age. And so there's so many young people out there that are not even in club sport, which is why Street Games is really important to pick up young people to get them to taste different programs and different styles of events, and be able to then take those programs on more regularly. So for example, the success of our action sports program, we know that lots of young people are gathering at the skate park, and skating and scootering is just all the rage at the moment. And so we've been able to deliver programs at the skate park, which has seen, really great numbers coming along to our action sports program. Other programs in regards to style has been a street soccer sort of format where there's less rules. People just tend to just want to kick the ball around and score on each other and have a bit of a play. And another popular sport is 3-on-3 basketball. And we'll go into a little bit more detail as the slides come along. In terms of right price, a majority of our programs are free of charge because we know that that is a barrier to sport participation for our young people. But we've been able to trial a price point with our skate club, which has been quite successful. We're going to talk about just some of the highlights to start with, just to whet your appetite, I guess, in regards to Street Games. And I'll call on Jay to speak about some of these memories as well. So our evaluation for phase 1 demonstrated that the 3 top motivations for youth in terms of why they participate in Street Games is because it's fun, they make friends, and the sport themselves. There were a whole lot of other questions as well that we asked, but they were certainly the 3 top motivations that we found youth really enjoyed about Street Games, which is really great to see because our initial assumption and the tagline that we made was fun, free, just rock up. So it sort of aligns with what we had assumed to start with. In terms of some of the outcomes, we've seen 60% of participants becoming more confident because they've been along to our programs, and we know that that's certainly a barrier for sport participation is around body image, is around I'm not good enough at a sport, they don't have any friends to go with, and so being able to impact 60% of our participants is huge, and that then builds trust and familiarity and builds that behaviour of wanting to return, and we do have a strong return rate within Street Games. And then it's also pleasing to report that 92% of our participants are more active because of coming to Street Games, and that's just incredible. As we mentioned, our cohort that we tend to try to target are those not in traditional club sport. And so we've got a bit of a 50-50 split. We do have a lot of young people that are not involved in sport at all, and Street Games is the only sport for them. But we also have a lot of young people coming from traditional club sport, which we originally thought might be competition, but it's not. They have their 3 days of sport a week, 2 days of training, and then they're out on the field on a weekend, and then they come to Street Games for an extra 4th day or 5th day or 6th day of sport. And as we know with young people and the national standard shows, under 18, we should be striving for 60 minutes a day of physical activity, and then over 18 and adults, 30 minutes a day of physical activity. So I think those numbers just goes to show that once, young people come along to Street Games, they are able to incidentally or deliberately increase their physical activity with us. So that's a bit of some facts for you from our evaluation. We'll scoot around the photos, and Jay, feel free to jump in if you're absolutely keen to talk about any of these, but I will pass on to you definitely for some of them. We started originally when I was appointed to the role 2 years ago. So Jay and I both worked around the same time hand in hand. I didn't have any experience in the sports sector, and I had come from a community development. I worked in universities and I worked with the community sector. And so I think that was one of the strategies that our executive officer had appointed somebody that didn't have a sports lens, and that was very community minded. And so I think that that being able to understand community and using sport as a tool has been something that it's been instrumental to success. And then in terms of partnerships, I brought along an extensive network of partners to the table, and I think the partnerships and collaboration has definitely helped the success of Street Games. So I couldn't do it alone, absolutely. So what we did was reach out to the networks, the partners, and we said, who do you have? Who would like to come and help us design? We wanted young people for young people. And lo and behold, Jay was one of those original young people that came to the table. And you can see one of the photos here. This was our initial workshop of over 40 people comprising of our youth crew, about 12 of them at the time, and also about 30 partners and community organisations coming together and designing our first iteration of the program. So that was a huge success, and I think that's been instrumental to how the program has been visible and has been able to take off, and certainly an innovation with bringing everybody to the table from day one and learning from there and pivoting together. Also, one of the success stories is around our design challenge. So we had a social marketing coordinator who pulled together design challenge, and then the lucky, or not lucky, but successful winner was Adam Marino. So a young emerging graphic designer himself had put together this design that was voted upon by the community, and as you can see today, hasn't changed. The design has been adopted by the crew and by the community, and we find it's a bold and vibrant design, and it's been that's stuck with us from day one. In regards to the crew, I think it's, in terms of our 4 rights, this is an additional right. So it's the right people in the right job. So we've had a lot of young people come and go from our program, but those that have left us have moved on to other opportunities and employment opportunities where they may not have had the chance, not having been part of the program in the past. So those who have moved on, I think we've been able to play a part in the success of their employment journey. And then those that have stayed on includes Jay. And Jay, did you want to just speak about your experience in regards to the crew?
Yeah, sure thing. So I think I probably joined from a friend of Den's who knew me from just skating around all the time and being a part of trying to help get some of the skate parks built. But yeah, I mean, I didn't really have a background in traditional sports. I wasn't really a fan. So that kind of fit me right into the Street Games bracket. So yeah, and I've kind of just given it my best shot and said yes to just about everything that gets handed my way. And I think that goes for some of the crew as well. They're all of them just certainly give it like their can do. And we always talk about it in Street Games, the can do attitude. It's something that we've all adopted, and something that certainly is a part of that right people in the right job. It's just everyone who can say can do, just give it our best and see what happens, and then learn and see what we can change for next time. And we've done a lot of that. And yeah, I can see some events here that just bring me way back to some awesome moments. I mean, even bottom right, you've got some, we had I think that was during NAIDOC week last year, perhaps. And then up the top here, the free fruit and food, we had a skate comp, and we always had some catering there. And That guy's shirt kind of says it all. Anti-bad vibe shield is what food is to our events. No one's having a bad time when there's some fruit around. So yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's just totally part of the experience and something that's helped along the way. So yeah.
That's great, Jay. And in terms of your experience and hearing from the crew, Jay, what are sort of some of the highlights and the stories that we hear around the impact that Street Games has had?
Yeah, I mean, I think since the first kind of moments of like having crew being on the ground and just running events, it was I think they've just like, they learn a lot more about like confidence in themselves and pushing beyond their own limits. And as you said before, Den, with those who have moved on to other career opportunities, there's certainly a lot of people have come out of their shells, because it's such a different spot to be in, just out in the open, just saying to people, hey, you want to come play some sports or whatever. So confidence is definitely a big thing of what I always hear from the crew anyway. And just being able to have fun in work as well is something that I think catches a lot of our crew off guard. Is they don't really, it's not a thing that happens in a young mind to think that you can go out to work and it's got to be super fun, because you always hear, oh, it's just work, blah, 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 blah. But they just have so much fun in what they do. And it's such a booster to the end of the day for a lot of the crew.
That's great. Thanks, Jay. And yeah, our evaluation report absolutely highlights everything that Jay has said, that confidence is the biggest part of the outcomes employing our young people. And, a fact there was that the initial intent was that we were going to appoint experienced and qualified coaches into the roles where, if you think about your leisure centre staff and, university qualified staff. However, because we had all these young people coming along, co-designing our programs, being so passionate, having the can-do attitude that Jay was talking about, we just simply had to make positions available for them. So Jay's role as head coach, we made a second head coach role for him, just so that we could snap him up, because if we didn't, somebody absolutely would. And we also had an action sports program that we were starting up, and who better than to have Jay support that program and to lead that program, which has been such an amazing, which has presented some amazing outcomes, which we will talk about shortly. So one of the quotes that I've got in our evaluation report that the coaches reflected on, and we talk about, the right people, because they are so vibrant and they can-do attitude all the time, that encourages, connection and trust that you build within communities. And we talk about this acronym CPR, and no, it's not about first aid, it's about consistency, predictability and reliability. So a direct quote from one of our coaches was, the style of kids we're working with, there's a saying called, they just need CPR: consistency, predictability and reliability. You give them those three things and they feel safe, they feel respected, and they'll probably do whatever you want after that. It's just the whole thing about, we know what's coming next, we know who is going to be there, we trust them, therefore it's going to be a good time. I think it all comes down to, at the end of the day, you can have an awesome soccer, basketball session planned out, but if you don't have a relationship with anybody, you've got nothing. And that was just such a powerful quote from one of our coaches, and it resonates with me, and it resonates with the team, and it's certainly something that we hold true and dear, because you'll see as we speak later on about the programs, there's a lot of rollout programs, which means that they are reliable, predictable, that it happens every single week regardless of numbers, but then we also have spontaneity of pop-up events as well, so we keep things fresh and we iterate as well. So that, I guess, segues into a couple of events that we've delivered and some case studies that were pulled together recently for our annual report. And that's around the first being street soccer. And street soccer has become our bread and butter until COVID hit. We're hoping that it'll take off again, in the coming weeks and months. But this started about 18 months ago. We were hoping to engage with over 18-year-olds and also those from recently settled communities, so like the Korean community and the Rohingya communities. And so we co-designed this program with the Centre for Multicultural Youth, and we went out to the Korean and Rohingya communities, and we asked them, what sorts of events would you like to participate in if we were to deliver a program? And the resounding answer was soccer. They just thought it's an international sport. Everybody knows how to play soccer. And even the women and girls were interested in soccer, closely followed by cricket, but soccer was absolutely a winner there. And so we piloted a 6-week program at Morwell Park Primary School. It's the very street courts there. And the first session we had about 10 people. That's a fair number. And then the second session we had about 20 or 30 people. By the third session, 40, fifth session, 60 people. And we were just blown away by how many people got around this program. And by week 6, everyone was like, no, you need to keep it going. There's no way we'll come by ourselves if you're not going to be here. So it's this community that we've developed. Not only did we achieve our goal of 18 plus and multicultural communities, but we had families there. We had kids and families playing together. We had Victoria Police, and we had Neighbourhood Watch and other organisations come on board. Centre for Multicultural Youth, where they're partnering with us. And it was just such a vibrant event. And then winter hit and everyone was devastated because it was started to rain and we had to cancel because of health and safety issues. And we were looking at another space and nobody wanted to move. They said, no, we're here, rain, hail, shine. And, we're a family here. And so we were torn because we didn't know whether we just stopped it for a few months and let them be, or whether we needed to find a new location. And so we talked to the leisure centre in Morwell, and we had some courts available. So we took a stab and went over to the leisure centre, and it was a success. Not only did we have people come across to the leisure centre with soccer, but we also had the basketball courts. So then it was soccer and 3-on-3, which was absolutely just astounding to see that program grow sort of week to week, and constantly, we had 40, 50 people coming every single week, where we had to put on triple the amount of staff just to manage the program properly. We had GIP Sport, had Gippy Girls Can and Make Your Move programs. They came on board. So Gippy Girls Can's all about activating women and girls, and we did some rock up netball alongside the program. And then also Make Your Move activates families and encourages physical literacy as well. So we were able to have families, parents playing with their kids. It was just a phenomenal program, and we really do hope that coming back out of COVID and starting up again, we can bring that community back together once more, because it has certainly become a bread and butter of our programming, and it's something that we would look to replicate in other towns as well. So in addition to that, some other than physical activity, social connectedness, other outcomes has been that the parents have been able to be physically active, and they've joined the gym, and they've become friends with other parents who may not have relationships and friendships within the community. Other young people, which is not intended, but they ended up enjoying basketball, so then they signed up for the local basketball squad. And so there are so many other outcomes and stories, but it's hopefully gives you a little bit of a taste of what the street soccer program has done over the 18 months, and we hope to bring that back on board. And then Jay's bread and butter, the action sports. I won't steal his thunder. I think I'll hand over to Jay to speak about Latrobe Valley Flow and the skate school there.
Yeah, cool. So the action sports program, I'll give a quick wrap up for those that don't know, but when we started, we had put aside I think it was 12 clinics and 5 skate park leagues, nationally recognized competitions. And we also got some training in the bottom left and then one over. You'll see the action sports team. And that was on one of our days of a 2-day weekend we spent with the skate park league's crew. And basically they taught us everything we need to know, how to run the competition, how to just go through all their processes, set up the competition and put in all the scores and just be awesome at running a skate comp. And yeah, so from that we had everyone come in and just get to learn how to do it. And we ended up with an amazing team. And yeah, one of which was myself. And after we finished all the competitions and clinics, there's just been so much, I wouldn't call it nagging or anything. There's just been so much good feedback and so many people want it. And we set aside to put skate club up as well, which is basically like one-on-one coaching instead of just a clinic where everyone goes in a big group. And yeah, so we started the skate club, and through that we also started the skate school with Latrobe Valley Flow, which is a school just across from the mall skate park. So it's just asking to do a school at the skate park. And sure enough, Dan might know exactly how many weeks we did it for before COVID kind of stole the thunder, but
I think it was it 2 terms at least?
I think it was, yeah, I think it was about that, 2 terms.
2-3 terms, and it would have gone longer had it not been for COVID. Yeah.
It would have kept going for the 3rd term, but yeah, we had to knock it back a little early. But yeah, amazing group of young students who just have a super passion for skating and skate culture and everything around that. And even some of the teachers, you'll see Kingy there on the left of the photo in the top middle. He's a local BMX professional and yeah, skate fanatic. And yeah, so what a teacher to have join us for skate school, where we just get to rock up and teach everyone the culture, and not only that, but teach them some new tricks and give them a bit of self-confidence. And we've seen a lot of turnaround for these students just wanting to come to school, or from not wanting to go to school at all to wanting to be at school every day because they get to go hang out with Jay and Tom and Kingy at the skate park. It's going to be so fun. And yeah, it's really cool. And yeah, something amazing that I think has come out of the action sports program. And I think we're even looking to keep going, I think, as soon as we can with the school, because it's just been awesome. So, yeah.
Yeah, great. Thank you, Jay. And just on that note as well, you know, we do talk about the LV flow, you know, having students that have fallen out of mainstream school. And so those outcomes are incredible, that students who don't want to attend school now are there at school, fresh, on time or early, because they want to participate in skate school, and they go through literacy and you know, skate park etiquette and being able to ride and understand you know, community integration as well. So it's been a very successful program, and something that, you know, young people, they now want to stay in school because they want to be a skate coach. And how cool is that? So they want to be just like Jay and the crew. So, you know, that's something that we really hold dear, and are really proud that we've been able to contribute to the success of that program, and having young people strive to stay in school and finish school because of that part we've had to play. So Jay's mentioned some of the other photos, so we won't speak too much on some of them. The free food and fruit is just something that, you know, not really a surprise, but it's incredible that the young people actually come to street games because of free food sometimes. We hear that with with some of our partners. They've been able to donate food to us. Woolworths donated fresh fruit for us to take to every single event. One of the outcomes around providing fresh fruit is that some people have food insecurities, and there's a lot of families who don't have fruit on the table. And so being able to provide fresh fruit, being able to give the fruit to young people and let them take home any spares has been a little bit of a surprise to us. But we've had to park that for now just with COVID, but hopefully once things settle, that might be something that we'll be able to bring back into our suite of programs as well. So we might just whip around the bottom here. We were really honoured to receive the Vic Health Award last year. We were crowned the winners of the inaugural Vic Health Awards for improving the health and wellbeing of young Victorians. And it was just an incredible night. It sort of topped off the 18 months journey, the innovation and the programs that we have had delivered, and the success of the program was definitely something that we were glad to have that accolade for the program. So that's a great win for the Health Innovation Zone and for our community. Jay spoke about the action sports team. So the only thing I might add to that is, for the first time, we now have a local action sports team on our doorstep. So, council or any funders or anybody that want to deliver SCAPE events, we're able to deliver, at your doorstep. We briefly spoke about phase 2 and that the Health Assembly decided to fund us for another round of street games about 12 months ago. So we really appreciate the Health Assembly being, partners from day one and then direct funders for our phase 2. And with COVID, we were unsure of where the program would go, but they were kind enough to also extend the program through COVID, so we didn't have to stress. So we've got another 6 months topped on to the end of phase 2, and hopefully there'll be many more phases to come in the future. We spoke about partnerships. I spoke about that earlier. So this photo here is just from our original workshop. And then also with phase 2, we were able to pull together a reference group. And these they're from community members and also the Latrobe Health Assembly. And so they're here to help us steer the program. We get to test and trial different ideas with them, as well as our youth crew. They're part of the committee, and they're also able to provide feedback as we go. So we really appreciate that. Our community have jumped on board and been able to help navigate and support our program. And then with COVID, we had to pivot again. And I think we're just naturals at pivoting with this program. About 7 months ago, when COVID hit, we, within a few days or weeks, we launched Latrobe Streetgames Virtual. And that's been a really successful program. It's been able to enable us to keep connected with our online community. We don't know what the successful will look like, beyond COVID, whether we retain virtual or whether we have it as a hybrid approach or move to purely face-to-face. But what we're hearing at the moment is young people enjoy both the virtual and the face-to-face programs. So we may still, for the meantime, keep some form of virtual programming, which has been a really nice surprise for us in terms of the silver lining being taken out of this situation. About a month or so ago, we launched our Women and Girls Health and Wellbeing series, and this is in response to the fact that a lot of our women and girls, they they don't, they're not as involved in physical activity as their male counterparts. And we see that in the statistics that with youth dropping out of sport, women and girls dropping out of sport, is even more dramatic in terms of that decline. So what we've been able to do is pull together a group of passionate women from the community sector and also our participants, and we've co-designed with them. So watch this space. It's a very new and fresh initiative that we've launched, but so far it's been well received. We've delivered Zumba and mindfulness yoga, and there'll be other events coming up over the coming weeks. So if you're interested, definitely head on to our socials and you'll find out all the information there. And we've also put in a Zoom link, so those who aren't able to attend our face-to-face program, you're able to access the Zoom link, and we do pre-recordings as well. And then Jay spoke about this event on the bottom right-hand corner. This is just an example of many events that we've delivered with huge attendance. With partnering with organisations, we've been able to reach out to even more people that we wouldn't have been able to alone. There's so many partners that over 100 or so partners we've worked with. About 30 of them are active with us, prior to COVID. Latrobe City, Latrobe Leisure was one of them, and the resilience team. We delivered a range of all access days with over 500 people in attendance for each of those events. And it was just, it's just been a huge success. So this slide here I won't talk to in depth. It's just another version of the previous slide. So the previous slide speaks to people that like a bit of visual, but this is a timeline of what we spoke to. So the design challenge starting and the program commencing with the free food, right through to co-designing with people, reaching out, creating niche programs, having major events right through the 2 years, the multicultural street soccer program happening midway through. We've been successful in attracting contracts from other municipalities as well to help with our sustainability. Skate school started. We won the award. We were able to deliver across from 7 towns to 11 towns just before COVID hit. So we'll be back out there again over the coming months. And we celebrated our 2-year birthday, which I spoke about at the beginning. So we might spend just a little bit of time speaking about programs. The programs that have been popular are in the table there. Jay, did you want to speak to what you see young people enjoy?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we have definitely pulled out some popular options from, some of the first days that we went out. Talk about that consistency and reliability. Bringing dodgeball every week to some of the places was consistent, just because that's what we heard. As soon as we'd bring out new types of games, but I think it was always kind of the high school favorites that a lot of people love. And these aren't even probably the half of some of the popular ones, because we could name off games for hours, really. Anything from hide and seek and some type of tag and capture the flag. These are all certainly smaller modified versions of some of these games like dodgeball and what have you. But we would get 50 kids at the mall soccer and basketball program that just loved I don't know whether everyone knows it, but certainly the crew and a lot of those that come to Street Games do, but the number soccer, which is a bit of a modified version where everyone gets a number and you yell out a number or a maths equation or everything. And the people who have that number have to run in and verse each other in soccer, and having 50 people lined up or 25 each side, just rooting for each other. Like, it's awesome. Just such fun games. There's so many different super popular versions of these games that I think make Street Games what it is, because it's different. It's consistent, and yeah, I think everyone just has so much fun, like learning the game kind of with us is something cool. So yeah.
And it's tailored, isn't it, Jay? So each session we get to know the young people. If it's a new event, we just take a variety of different balls and equipment with us, and you can see some of the popular options there in the table. But having delivered programs for 2 years now, there's such a huge suite of programs that even young people, they help design and help teach programs to our coaches as well. So we've got a bit of a Bible happening with lots of different games there that people have added to over the years. But we certainly have, our tried and true games, and then each location is different, isn't it, Jay? And then the next slide, I think, will bring you down memory lane, and we'll get you to speak about each of those towns and what works, because every location, every group within a town, they're all very different, aren't they? So we need to be able to adjust and modify all of our sports.
I think that's probably something as well, talking about the crew before as being can-do and being adaptable as well, and learning to be adaptable and change and go with the flow type of thing, because as though we can be consistent, the participants might just throw in an oddball every now and then, and you end up doing a BMX competition with athletics on footy, and it's a roll of the dice, but yeah, it's a good thing to have.
Yeah, and I can just this photo here is from, I believe, Wreckfest, or it was an event where we had partnered with a range of different organisations, and it was about bringing young people from all the various high schools and grade 5, 6s along to test and trial different sports and recreation options available. And that, I think each of those events had over 500 young people come along. So it's been huge success. So the numbers I won't really speak to, other than the fact that they're sort of our higher level numbers. We have different numbers for different events. We're all about outcomes in impact. So yes, a lot of our programs do have high numbers, as well as we spoke to about action sports and street soccer, but we also ensure that there's equity within our programming. So there's a lot of towns as well that don't have too many young people that participate, but those that participate really appreciate it, because they can't get into the larger towns to be able to participate in sport. And even some of the locations, like I'm thinking Moe Library, for instance, has a lot of people that walk by, but sometimes the numbers are, are hit and miss, up and down. But it's that consistency and reliability that rain, hail, shine, we're going to be there as long as there's an alternative venue for us to seek shelter under. But generally, if we can, we will be there, and it doesn't matter whether there's a couple of people or whether there's 60 people at an event. If it's delivering outcomes and young people are benefiting from our programs, we look to not let them down and stay on with supporting them to in terms of their regular habits that we can help establish for them. Might move on there then. So, Jay, I think you've been to all of these events.
Yep, indeed.
I've pulled up examples of each of the towns. The photos don't do it justice. I think it's just a snapshot of a moment in time for each of the 7 towns. And then to the right, those 3 photos are from our major events that we spoke about, and some of the niche programs. We delivered a boxing program, and also worked with United Muslim Sisters Latrobe Valley, as well as other community groups. So Jay, did you want to just speak briefly about each of the towns, sort of, what kind of people we're seeing, what sort of numbers, and any other, anything around style?
Yeah, look, I'll go top left all the way down to bottom right, top to bottom. So top left, we've got Moe, and Moe we've been at since the very first start of rollout. And it was quite a good one because it was at the library, and the library's right across from the train station, and kids would always run through just to go to catch the train home, or the other way, the kids coming from Traff into Moe and jumping off the train to go home. But yeah, it was awesome. We got a bit of a almost a club style or a group style, where we'd have a big group of people that would just swarm inside there if it was a hot day, or we'd go outside if it was cool enough, and we'd have some table tennis inside, open up the doors, and we'd play some dodgeball and your soccer outside. Next to that, we've got Stockland Plaza. Now, this is quite a recent photo, but we have, they've just put in some space on the side there where we started playing some soccer, and I'm sure we'll bring some dodgeball and footy there once the restrictions kind of ease. But such a good spot, and we've always been at the front on the AstroTurf doing some promotion and just hanging out, playing some small games since the very first day as well. Next to that, we've got one of the skate comps. You can see we've got a huge lineup of BMX riders. I think that was probably all the winners and all the riders from Churchill comp by the looks of the grass there. So just one of the many action sports competitions that had masses of people. And a good thing is some people even traveled to come to these comps, which was amazing, coming from Melbourne and what have you. Next to that, we have Ballara, I believe. This is a very early on photo, having a Barbie in Ballara, and guessing that was a hot summer night. Such a cool spot where we used to go on Tuesday nights after Moe, I believe. And been there since probably day dot as well. And just by the skate park there, they have a basketball ring, and it just wasn't really getting used by the community as much as many people thought. And I think once we were there, we have a big group of 30, 40 people that came every week. If it was raining, we had access to the town hall there as well, which was amazing, which they previously used for choir groups and certain things like that. But having access to that to be able to go to such a small town, rain, hail, or shine, was really cool as well. Another one in Churchill, we've got the Churchill Leisure Centre. This looks like a photo from one of the Rec Fest or one of the other festivals, but we'd go there on Thursdays and have the GEP students all come down at lunchtime, and then we'd also run just a public session for everyone to come and hang out after that, which was really cool. We had a lot of basketball competitions go on, and I think we even had some basketball teams come down, some professional basketball players. So I think that was a bit of motivation for a lot of the young players there, and we still see a lot of them at street games today when we go to Traralgon basketball on an afternoon. Got Mid Valley on the left, heading back across to the left. Mid Valley, this is quite an early photo, just out the loading dock, and we had a basketball hoop inside, which was really cool. We got to pull that out, and it was such a unique street spot. I'll call it, it was very street-esque. just being on the concrete pad and being able to play some outdoor basketball is really cool. And then we moved over to the grass area just out the front, and that's where we are today. And we did some stuff out the back by the youth space and the dimmies there, playing some table tennis and hanging out. We had a very devoted group come in weekly, and yeah, now we're back out the front, which is awesome. And yeah, Mid Valley's been with us since day one as well. I mean, doing the launch party there was our very first event, and such learning we've done with them. Next to that on the right, we've got Traralgon South, part of the original rollout as well. We started there just on the cricket grounds, which was awesome, and we just kind of rock up and play some games. And not sure where the tip-off came from, Den, but we got onto the Traralgon South youth group, and great bunch of youth they've got out there, and they happily invited us in to play some games, and they put on a lovely dinner. And it's so good because they're such a cool group, and they love having us. And started off in the men's shed just on the left of this photo, and then we realized we're going to need more space. There's just more and more kids that are coming. So on the right of where that photo was taken is the town hall. So we moved into the town hall, get to open up these big doors. We got a big basketball court, and talk about a group of kids that just knows what game they want to play. This is certainly the group, because we'd rock up with certain gear, and they would just already be setting up things and doing what the Street Games crew would. So there's plenty of cool kids there. But yeah, next to that we've got Yallourn North, which is a place we've been on Thursday nights since the very start, and another huge group of like 40 to some days like 50, 60 kids who'd come over from the primary school and also from Lawana College in Moe. And they've got the skate park there and a big dirt bike track and all sorts of stuff. But we'd play footy, soccer, capture the flag, dodgeball. We'd do athletics. This is the place before I talked about like BMX riding competition. So much like cool, spontaneous stuff. So talk about a hit. That place is amazing. On the right there, we've got more courts. Another photo from that. We had one earlier with like 60 people, and this is another one of the groups that play on that court. And yeah, such a hit. I won't go too much into that one because Dan, you summed it up perfectly before. On the right of that, we ran a short boxing series where we had a local personal PT boot camp specialist, and yeah, ran awesome boxing classes for everyone. And we had a big group that showed up there once a week to just have a cool hit and learn some cool moves and just get fit. And it was definitely the start of something new for us in terms of group fitness that we're seeing lately. And then going back to the left, there's some more from Mid Valley there, just from the center space that we moved into after we went from outside. Then all the way on the bottom right, I believe this is one of the...
our United Muslim Sisters Latrobe Valley Family Day at Mid Valley, which was awesome. It's a great wrap. Thank you so much, Jay.
Awesome. Cheers.
We'll whiz through the rest of the slides. That takes us to virtual street games now. So we spoke about 7 months ago having to pivot. I won't go into too much detail. If you're interested in learning about virtual, it's all on our Facebook, it's all on our socials, Instagram, etc. So just to briefly speak to this slide, we pivoted and had a couple of iterations, but this is where we've sort of landed right now. Our Motivational Mondays has a variety of sort of fitness programs, and then our Tuesdays, it was TikTok, but now it's Take Time Tuesdays. So that's where we deliver a range of segments that help people to take time for themselves, whether it be mindfulness or advice from our crew around how how they take time. The Wednesdays are some fun minute to win it type games. Think, rolled up socks thrown into baskets, pen challenges, etc. Our Thursdays is our tips and tricks segment where we talk about all things sport. It may be around tutorials around playing a particular sport, or it might be around health and wellbeing segments. Our Fridays, we have been popping up at the skate park. And on Sundays, we have a partnership with Gippsland FM, and the crew, as part of their building capacity, have been able to learn how to navigate the local radio station, and they've got a really cool segment there with a really great following. So they talk about the week, recap the week, and play a range of games. We also have a private group that we created. It's Latrobe Streetgames Virtual, and there we connect with young people. We put up polls. We have a bit more conversation happening there, and we're able to direct message with young people as well to keep them connected with our programs. This slide here is just to show some of our peak reach. If anybody's interested in social media, you can see that some of our events, majority reach is our youth demographic. Our 2-year birthday celebration reached people from right across the spectrum, but there's still a really high youth demographic reach as well. We get quite a few of these, don't we, Jay? They spike up and down, but that gives you a bit of an idea of some of the bigger episodes we've delivered. And a lot of them are due to partnership and people being able to share our posts with us. So we thank everybody who's been able to contribute to that. So next steps, we have started to deliver back on the ground. It's week 4 now, I think. It's flown by really quickly. So based on the DHHS and Sport and Rec Victoria advice, we've been able to deliver a return to program framework as COVID safe delivery plan, which has been approved by council, and we're starting to test and trial some spots now as we speak. But this was the model that we went through with our return to program series over the past couple of months. So looking at programs that have worked in the past, looking at some niche programs, launching our Play Your Way campaign, testing and trialing a few different programs, and then also the health and wellbeing challenge with the series with women and girls we've been able to deliver. And then there's a survey that you can access on our social media, which we will post up again so that it's fresh for you to access if you are interested in helping us find key locations at the right time, place and style, or if you know any young people who would like to contribute to co-designing programs with us, we'd love to hear from you. These slides quickly is just shows you some of the co-design that we've delivered with young people over the past couple of months. Some of those words they're larger because there's multiple people who have put in those sports. So it gives you a little bit of a snapshot of what particular young people are thinking in terms of what they would like to play, and this absolutely informs our delivery model as well. So we're always listening, and after each event, we recalibrate, and that helps us form the next program series. And this is just our current series. We've got the Women and Girls program that I spoke to you about earlier, and our weekly program, and our How We Play checklist. So this slide is just about we listen and we hear from young people from day one and after every single event. We're always listening. This was pulled together from the very beginning, and it hasn't really changed at all. So we're hearing about young people wanting to connect, and it's all about that social connectedness. We know that young people want that sense of belonging. We know that they want us to break down traditional barriers to sport participation and also breaking down of stereotypes. And I think the team as a whole has been able to deliver on all of these points that young people are telling us. The top sections around the cohorts and motivations are some recent studies that our Increasing Access to Sport team delivered. And I think, looking at the cohorts, we look to engage with the sport lovers and the social players. It sort of aligns with our model. Those that are not interested is something that we can continue to work on, but we certainly, invest a lot of our time in those who want to access street games. And then this slide just shows you that a lot of our work is informed by best practice research. There's a whole lot of gamut of information. A lot of it you can find on at your fingertips by doing a Google search. But if there's any information you want to know about, feel free to connect with me, and I'm more than happy to share any of the learnings with you. Just a call to action. If you are able to, would love you to like and follow our socials. That's how you find out about all of our programs. The more that you engage with the programs, the more that Facebook likes the algorithms and is able to share more of that content with you. If you're able to connect us in with any young people, that would be greatly appreciated. We're always checking in with the community by providing surveys as well. And so if you're able to spare some time to just respond to those surveys, that would be fabulous. And we're also on the lookout for new crew members, particularly if they're young women. There's some job opportunities, some openings there. So I'll end it there. I think, it's been great being able to reflect on our 2 years. I've put my contact details up there if you'd like to get in touch with me, and all of the socials as well. Thank you, Richard. I might just leave it there, and if there's any questions, happy to answer them.
Thank you very much, Den. I'm just trying to unshare your video there, but thank you very much for a marvelous insight into, I guess, the origins of Latrobe Street Games, how it's been tracking over the last 2 years, and where it's looking to go. Did I hear a murmur of someone who might have had a question then that I just talked over the top of?
It was just more of an observation about fantastic enthusiasm, and I love the fact that the innovation is that it continues to change. So that's fantastic, because we're not very good at that at times.
Yeah, I think we just know how much the youth can, trends and all types of niche things. So we're very on top of things like our social media and just what we hear from the young people. And I mean, the crew ourselves were all quite young, so I think we quite catch on to the trends early enough, I hope. But yeah, cheers.
Okay, well, I think on that note, we'll say good night, and thank you very much for both Den and Jay for taking the time to present, but also for the others to come and watch this live presentation, and for those watching at home. Thank you and good night.
Thanks. Good night, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks for
Have a good
joining.
one.